This righteous soul group was one of the most remarkable misgender vocal groups of their time. This group made some outstanding singles in the early 70s. The centerpiece of today's video is all about the independence. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. This group was formed by the songwriting pair of Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey. Jackson was born on March 22, 1945 in Greenville, North Carolina. He is the half-brother of Reverend Jesse Jackson. His mother sang in church and Jackson learned gospel fundamentals in church and school choirs. Yancey was born in Chicago on May 31, 1950. He's the son of a Baptist minister and he began playing in his dad's church at the age of 13. Yancey attended Moody Bible Institute while Jackson studied commercial arts and music at Furman University in South Carolina. Jackson left school in 1964 to join an R&B band, and in 1968, he relocated to Chicago to work as an art director for Playboy. However, music continued to still have a strong effect on Jackson. When he heard from a friend about a songwriting class hosted by soul musician Jerry Iceman Butler, he quit his job at Playboy to attend. Butler founded the workshop in 1970 after losing the services of Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff at Mercury Records, and he needed songs to complete his recording contract. Before it closed in 1976, the songwriters who networked there wrote for Butler and many other musicians. While there, they racked up a score of charting singles. Butler was impressed by some of Jackson's songs. Butler released the singles If It's Real, What I Feel, and Walk Easy My Son in 1971, with the former featuring Jackson's church buddy Brenda Lee Egger on vocals. That same year, Jackson met Yancey at a Black Expo in Chicago presented by Operation Breadbasket under the leadership of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yancey was at the trade show to perform piano with the gospel group The Caravans, and Jackson invited him to Butler's class as a writing partner. Jackson was a better wordsmith, but he believed that he could use some help with the music. Yancey and Chuck Jackson began writing songs to give to Aretha Franklin. They ended up composing 8 songs together. Now, while the original idea to write for Aretha Franklin didn't pan out, they decided to establish a group. Eddie Thomas, former impression manager, was pleased by that demo, Just As Long As You Need Me, and he presented it to Scepter Records, subsidiary label Juan Records in New York. Soaked in gorgeous string arrangements and a softly spoken intro with bulletproof vocal harmonies, the song exemplified the Chicago sweet soul sound with a touch of that smooth Philly vibe. In the spring of 1972, the song hit the top 10 of the R&B charts. The two young songwriters and musicians had put their name as independents on the hub label for Just As Long As You Need Me. And now they needed to put together a group. They began scouting talent from the local scene, and in 1972 they recruited 2 new members, Maurice Jackson, who had no relation to Chuck. Now Maurice, he's been performing and recording in the local R&B scene since the early 60s, but he received little to no notice. And they also added in Helen Curry. Just As Long As You Need Me is included on the Independent's 1972 first full-length album titled The First Time We Met. Soft ballads dominated the record, with Jackson and Curry typically altering lead vocals in a classic gospel manner. The album also included Leaving Me, which included the group's hallmark song. The song became a certified gold success in early 1973, long after the album's release. The song was lingering on the R&B charts for more than 3 months before it reached number 1.
I heard somebody say, leaving me, as you close back
The First Time We Met contains top tier chess record section musicians as well as Yancey on piano.
I was cold, came along and warmed.
However, Yancey preferred to remain behind the scenes and he is not featured on the album cover. Yancey primarily served as a songwriter and producer on the group's second album. For the live performances, he was replaced by Chicago native Eric Thomas, who had met Chuck Jackson through Operation Push. The label released a second album titled Chuck, Helen, Eric, Maurice in 1973. It produced a single hit with It's All Over, which peaked at number 12 on the soul charts. In 1972, he released 2 additional singles, including the disco-infused dance Arise and Shine.
Let's get it on. We've been sleeping all the time.
And the legendary ballad Let This Be a Lesson to You.
If it believes the pain, and let me see, I'll never do it again.
Unfortunately, record companies' disputes led to the disbandment of the group. The group's breakup leaves space as they appear to be on the course to becoming the next Impressions, Dramatics, or perhaps Gladys Knight and the Pips. However, Yancey and Jackson went on to achieve credible success as songwriters. In late 1974, they began working with Natalie Cole, who had just signed with Capitol Records. They composed her first breakthrough song, This Will Be. In 1975, their collaboration with her resulted into 4 gold and 2 platinum albums. Yancey married Cole in 1976, and he and Jackson relocated to Los Angeles in 1977 to make working with her more convenient. After Yancey's father passed later that year, he took over his church in Chicago, which caused him to move back to Chicago, and the estrangement with Cole resulted into their divorce in 1980. Yancey and Jackson also created songs for musicians on Curtis Mayfield's label, including The Notations, as well as stars like Ronnie Dyson. They quickly became industry giants and both pursued individual careers as entertainers. Jackson's 1978 solo album, Passionate Breezes, had 6 songs co-written with Yancey. In 1979, Yancey released a gospel single, which was followed in 1985 by the album Heavy Load. It peaked at number 4 on the gospel charts, but he didn't get to enjoy the success. Sadly, he tragically passed young of a heart attack that same year. His collaboration with Jackson terminated in the early 80s due to them falling out. Now, as for the other members of the group, in 1976, Maurice Jackson created a group known as Silk, which comprised of Eric Thomas and fellow Operational Push choir graduate Arthur Reed. In 1977, they published a self-titled album on the New York label Prelude, which included the hit Party. Maurice Jackson also formed a modern version of the Independents in 2010, which reunited Chuck Jackson and Eric Thomas in 2018 for a day-long Southside event. Helen Curry continued to record, and her 1979 single, Such a Thrill I Feel, appears to be ready for rediscovery by crate diggers. Now, perhaps if the Independents had a longer career, they may be worldwide beloved, as they deserve so. This group was very underrated and also very good. Now, before we go, I have a few questions for you all. Did you know that there's 2 different Chuck Jacksons that's from North Carolina? It's the solo artist who I already covered, which you should check out the video, and also this Chuck Jackson, who was a part of this group, who is also the half brother of Jesse Jackson. Also, what is your favorite song from the Independents?